Hey, yo, what's poppin'? It's Friday night off the rails, and we've got a lot to talk about. It's going to be an interesting show. We got some guests. We've got a lot of people that are going to be on the panel. People are going to be jumping in and jumping out. Hopefully, we have Simple Man and Mr. Polo, and Comic Man Andy will be joining us as well. But first, I couldn't do this without the rest of them, so let's bring them in.
And Chad said, let there be core.
Let there be core.
Yeah.
So we're going to dive into it again. We're going to talk a little bit up front on our brother and Paul, who his daughter Maura, who is 7, just had open heart surgery. They are going through it. They are experiencing the worst thing any parent could possibly experience, or anybody at this point is somebody in need that you love and care for. And that's why we are going to talk about the next 2 nights that I volunteered Carson for, because why not? He loves the host auctions.
Yeah, it's kind of what I do, I guess. So we'll be hosting. What time are we going live tomorrow, JD? Around 9 p.m. Eastern?
That's what I think. I think 9 p.m. Eastern. We're probably gonna cap it at 4. Maybe late, if 4 hours at that point. If we think it should be going on a little longer, we'll see how it goes, obviously. But don't forget, there'll be another auction on Sunday. We're going to start that an hour earlier, so we can get as much more in there. And that's not all we got going on. So there'll be other auctions that other people are running. I know Hudat's going to run an auction with proceeds. Some of the proceeds, portion of the proceeds, he's going to do a lot of big bucks. Will be going to the GoFundMe as well as. I think a few other people we've reached out to have talked about it. I haven't really heard back from any of the other major auction guys or anything else yet, but we're working on it. So we're excited about those auctions. I plan on doing what I call the Drew Manchu theory of making everybody happy. I'm going to bring one of those big old, priority mailboxes. We're just going to fill it.
Yeah, baby. Fill that medium box up.
And I promise a DC run that you will never see anything like this again, including a pedigree, a mile-high pedigree. So I will show a pedigree book in there. They will get some bat wangs, I'm sure. You're going to get a bunch there. There'll be a Venom lot for sure. And I might be doing a little bit of Golden Guys. Let's see how Paul, a little bit of some Golden Age books. I don't have that many that would fit in a box like that I would trust a box like that. That might be a little separate little thing I might do on the side. It's going to be one lot. Paul's favorite artists. Paul's favorite. I'm going to get somebody from every one of Paul's videos that Midwest Comic Man did on every one of those artists that he did. So if you want to get an idea of what that is, check it out.
There'll be a playlist linked in our channel if you guys want to, so you can check those out. But let's jump it in. We got Drew Manchu hanging and banging. What's up, Drew?
Oh man, I had a great night tonight, guys. I went trunk or treating, which is this new age thing. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it yet. It's exactly the opposite of what they taught us when we were kids. It's where you go into a parking lot and lure children to your trunk with candy. And they are all very game for this situation. It was a lot creepier than I thought it was going to be. But we are here tonight. We're going to go off the rails. We're going to talk some comics. Simple Man, Andy, Bolo are going to be stopping by. And we're sending all of our love out to little Moira right now, as well as Paul and Ivy and the rest of the family. We know that she's making some strides, but the road is going to be long and hard for her. And also the expenses are starting to pile up already. So we've got that GoFundMe. Did hit the chat. I'm sure it's in the description. Is it in the description?
It is now.
It is now. And be sure that, if you guys aren't going to be around to buy books this weekend, if you are actually not in the market for books at this point in time, but you do want to give as little as $5 is going to go a long way for these guys. So make sure you click that link and share some love with Paul and his family. They're going through a tough time right now, and Comic Core's family, we're going to make sure we extend that to Paul.
And I got to give credit where credit is due. The person that created that saying is, I guess, like our baby sister. And she's right below, and she's up next. What's going on, Cat Ren Figures and Cinema?
Nothing much. Hanging out with the fam on a Friday because that's what we do here on the Comic Corps. Definitely very heartbreaking what's going on with Little Midwest. But I gotta tell you, the picture of her with her best friend was the cutest dang thing I've seen all week. Yes, that smile is infectious, and we're wishing her a lot of good vibes and get well soon, definitely. But hanging out, having alcoholic beverage.
I didn't get permission to show it, but I so badly wanted to show Legends pictures today.
So
Show
thank God you didn't.
Show it.
So all of you that don't know, Legend is in the hospital. He had a minor procedure done. He's good. He's resting up. He's so good. Well, I don't know if he's the
How
hottest.
good is he?
He is going to be live, being the host coming out of retirement for Paul tomorrow night on the Comic Corps for the auction. So, if you've ever seen an auction, there's no auction like the Great Legend auction. So,
I'm so excited to be back on an auction with the Great Legend.
He
doing
is.
this stuff. It's fun time, and I was real excited about it.
So we have a couple people in the chat. Before we jump in there, I want to give recognition to Mr. TJ. I saw him.
Oh, yes.
Slab Dragon, and I'm going to let you, DJ.
Hi.
JD, say something about this. There he is right there.
Okay, Damp Advertiser John, which is, of course, we're in reference to John's Comics with Kids. Good having John's Comics with Kids here as well. Now, so TJ, the Slab Dragon Watson, has graciously donated a ridiculous amount of books that I will be showing on the Unlimited show that are all going to be available at the close of the show. At the close, we're going to be doing mystery boxes. They are going to be done very similar. We're going to have all the proceeds, 100% going to the shipping will be out, but we're going to. The reason why I'm getting the box is because I'm in Omaha, literally dead central location in the United States. And I don't have to pay as much to go to California as somebody like, let's say, a Drew Manchu, or somebody, let's say, like Knights of All wants to send something over to, let's say, Comic Man Andy. I could send it a lot quicker over and faster. And
all of those regional rates.
So the one thing you got right here is you're dead center in the country. We've got nothing else around but a lot of cows, corn, and Paul. Paul's not too far from me. They're in Iowa City, which is only a couple hours. I do plan on making a trip out there at some point this weekend. We're working on that, but right now we probably need to get some. Can't bring the kids, so that's where we're in there. They're just not ready for that. We'll try to make a trip out to see Paul maybe when she's home. Right now it's all about there. But those we call Dragon Heart boxes, named after the Slab Dragon himself. And that is what you're going to get. You're going to get a sticker of that and a thank you from us there. That is the logo. Moira's favorite color is purple. So purple hearts, everybody, for everybody. And that's what we're going to do. She is a warrior and currently wounded, so let's give her all the support we can. And these boxes, I'm going to tell you right now, we're probably going to work on the prices. We're working on that right now, figuring out what to do. I haven't seen them all. TJ gave me a preview of what's going on in there. So my wife and I have gotten, we have a donation. We have the empty boxes have been donated by Imaginitarium. They are bringing them to me on Monday. We are going to have these stickers and everything make up, and we created a whole new thing called the great idea of the Dragon Heart, boxes for there. It's named after Steve JJ the Slab Dragon. His tremendous donation to everybody. And if anybody wants to know what a JD and a TJ Watson pedigree is like, watch that show because we're going to have a lot of fun. And I love that too. Some people have mentioned the pedigree and everything else. So I'm real excited about that. And thank you again for everything that's been going on so far. I really appreciate everybody for rallying around this like we never before. We circle the wagons. When that bat signal goes up in the air or the Paul signal up there, that Purple Heart went up in the air. This company we got together, this group of people, I shouldn't say company, not yet, but this group of people here just got together. We says, what can we do? And I said, Paul, you sit back, hold Ivy, hold that baby girl, take care of your boys while you're there. We got this. See you soon. And that's what we're doing. And we're doing this nonstop. So Purple Hearts for Paul. Purple Hearts for Paul and Moira. That's what we're talking about. God bless her. Dragon Heart boxes. You're not going to want to. They're mystery boxes. But we're going to show you all the books that are potentially going to be in there. So it's going to be cool. And it's not going to be like a Spider-Man where somebody gets a huge grand prize. They're all going to be in there. We're going to make them pretty evenly throughout. They're going to make it obviously worth your while, but it's more importantly, it's going to a worthy cause. And the most worthy cause, I think, for us and any of us right now. I think it's great.
JD, the efforts that you've been putting in, I commend, compliment you for wholeheartedly. You stepped up to the plate, knocked this one out of the park. So thank you for everything, Carson. Thank you for hosting tomorrow.
Nothing of it, and I appreciate the gratitude. Thank you.
Honestly, everybody's been awesome. Yeah. Even so, I don't think he got his grail, and he said he's digging right now, and he's going to be joining the auction with Legend and Carson, and that's himself, Comic Man Andy. What's up, Comic?
Yo, man, took a little break from digging to hang out here. Unfortunately, my collection isn't to the status of what I would like with many others. So I'm afraid that what I can bring to the table might not hold a candle to everybody else.
It doesn't matter. It
doesn't matter.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to put something forward. Because as a father, this is tough.
Yeah.
This is really tough to watch.
You've had a few crying nights at home.
But hey, Pinky's out tonight for Paulie because Paul says one thing. Ready? Fuck Marvel.
Hey, he's a great guy with a hell of a lady and a kid who's tougher than a $2 steak. But man, that guy doesn't know shit about comic books.
Can I share the story about what happened about 6:45 tonight? I'm not going to say who it is, but I'll just say this. I got a message from a person who is not on social media. I got a message on my Instagram, and I will read it to you. It says, "Hi, you met my best friend's wife, name, and their daughter in Baltimore at Gator's booth," which is Rick right there. And this woman I did meet, and I'll show it's a picture of her there. This is the woman who came over and says, "Oh my God, you're from the Golden Guys. You're JD." She wanted to talk. She sends this. They aren't on any sort of, they're not on Instagram, but wanted to get in touch with you to see if they could help with Paul's family. Can you text me? Well, I spoke to them for about an hour. They are going to be making a sizable donation. And I was shocked. This is somebody who has never once been in the chat because they are just watchers. They're just fans. And they want to make this. And I was taken back by this, that I called this woman right away, who I just got her number, and we talked for an hour about comics and Paul and great things. And just, they are so excited. They were like, "Oh my God," they put me on their speakerphone and they're telling me all their books they got and the stuff that we make fun of on the show. And they were just fans of the show. And at the end of it, they said, "We're going to make a large, sizable donation to Paul and we'll be back." And that was just about an hour and a half ago. I think, 2 hours ago. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
amazing.
That's awesome, and that's how the Comic Core. That's what we started out for, and let's keep it going. And Carson, do your thing.
All right, I think there's a chat here we can go ahead and get to. It looks like we had John's Comics with Kids. I don't know if he's still King John Free, John the Rican, whatever his gimmick is this week. But nice to see you first in the chat, John. Next up, I'm afraid we've got some bad news. We got
bad news, and Jared is in first this week.
We got the real Rican, just a Rican.
Congratulations
to Rod for crossing 1,000 subs. Well deserved. So big, huge shout out to Rod the Rican out there. I know we're all proud of him getting over that 1,000. Next up, we got Old Wolf 65. How's it going, man? Always like seeing him in the chats as well. Like, let me check. Nope, he's not lurking under there at least. We got Perry Comics in the chat. He's lurking somewhere. Okay, he's not behind me either. All right, good. Next up, we got Aggressively Relaxing. How's it going, man? One of my favorite names. And if you guys like the bumper at the top of the show, we got this next guy to thank. Bob World, what's going on, man? He is awesome at making those graphics. So definitely check out his channel and all that good stuff. He actually, previewed it way before we looked at it tonight. Oh, look at this guy. We got YouTube is 90. Drink it in, man. A little bit of the bubbly. Actually, I need a little bit of the bubbly after doing that intro. Nonetheless, we got 90 MF Comics in the chat.
This is for Legend, by the way.
Here, I can do another gimmick here. We got the Mastodon Comics and Collecting. What is going on, man? Let's see who else. I know we had some other people. Oh, we got Who Dat Comics and Movies. He's going to help us out with the auction tomorrow as well. What is going on, Who Dat? And then Classic Animaniacs. Hello, Nurse. We got Gretzky9966 in the chat. We got Bonafide Comics in the chat. How's it going, man? We got Dylan's comic book rants. And Burn It Down. We got Sam's Tangled Web in the chat. And then last but certainly not least, the Slab Dragon, TJ Watson. Holy crap. I feel like Vince McMahon talking about the Road one.
Hey, Sam has me blocked, man. I tried to talk to him the other day on his chat. He has me blocked.
Hey, hey, Chad, there's a Slab Dragon.
Yeah.
Chad, there's a Slab Dragon GIF in the studio. Can you see that one? It's on the right, usually. This is what happens when you introduce TJ, the Slab Dragon Watson. You wake everybody up.
Which one?
Oh, nice. We got a gimmick for TJ. I love it.
Oh, yeah. We got a gimmick for TJ.
Is it under a different banner? Is it under
it's under Unlimited, should be.
All right, hold on. Let me get it. Is that it?
No, it's one with it's a gift, dude. It's not. It's
Chad's finding out. I got one more guy because I got to do all the gimmicks tonight.
No,
I don't see it, dude.
I can't see it, so I'll find it.
Yeah, surprise. Catch us off guard with it. It'll be great.
Yeah.
I'm sending it to you now.
All right.
How about that Thor?
Sure, it's not under Golden Guys. Might be under.
No, that's not it.
That's Golden Guys right there.
All right. I guess while we continue to hot dog and grandstand, we might be able to go over some picks of the week here.
Who the hell's that?
What is this?
That's Dan Marino at Oakland, Pennsylvania, right there in high school.
Oh, no shit.
Dan Marino in Oakland, Pennsylvania high school, and I'm not a big Dan Marino fan, but my wife.
Yeah, Dan Marino sucks.
Oh, wait, don't let my wife hear that. Liz, Drew's kidding.
I was not kidding.
We have 19
where the hell is his ring?
Oh, that's a good point. I bring it up.
Anyway, I'll go over my picks of the week while we look for a Slab Dragon's gift. So light week for me. I don't know. I had I think 4 books total, and one of them was from last week. So I had Angel number 6. Angel's not even in this comic book, so but you get Spike. So kind of a filler, in my opinion. But you get Spike, you get Gunn, and you get Fred. So still fun, but not needed.
A better vampire.
Yes. So you get some lovely Spike. Cool cover on that one. I like that. Best you get of Angel in that one because he's not in this. So, Spider-Man number 2 continues to be at least a solid read. I might go ahead and pick up issue 3. I had to take this off my pull list, so I just bought it anyway because I had nothing else to read. Basically, Spider-Man's kid wears his costume to a costume party, ends up saving a girl, and he's basically being Spider-Man now. So like I said, we'll see. Maybe my actual pick of the week, Curse of the White Knight number 4 continues to be a very solid read. This one, you get the spoilers, I guess, while I'm holding it up. You kind of get to see the fallout of Jim Gordon getting murdered, stabbed and thrown off a building last issue. So Babs, she's not having it. So her and Harvey Bullock go out and try to take on Azrael by themselves. And, of course, that's not going to go good. She basically gets baned because Batman didn't want to use guns. And, the Team Batman is not in good standing right now. And Azrael is just kicking everybody's ass in this book. So it continues to be an awesome read. And my last read of this week, Giant Size Swamp Thing. This one was kind of weird, in my opinion. There's 2 main stories in this one. The first one, it's like this voodoo priestess who studies magic, kind of to counter Alec Holland in his scientific ways. She kind of betrays Alec to Teen Sunderland, who, wants his body for experimentation like usual. Throwback to Saga of Swamp Thing 21, where they did all those experiments and all that good stuff. Kind of like they did in episode 9 and 10 of the show. But nonetheless, somehow, they conclude that, the girl wants to eat Alec Holland's heart, so she does, and then it turns out it's poisonous, so she basically dies. Then she gets buried, and it turns out she woke up from eating the heart, so she was buried alive, and that was the main story of this. So really weird. So yeah, but it was $5, and you get a lot of reprints in it. So those are my picks of the week. What about you, Drew? What are your picks?
Man, I read a lot of stuff. I didn't think I read that much. When I went back through it, though, I did read a lot of stuff. But I got a couple of cover picks for pick of the week. I loved this cover of the Amazing Mary Jane. I really dug that. It's clear a little bit. Yeah, man, that was good stuff. So 1 in 25 Immortal Hulk variant, the Sorrentino. Thought that was dope. Loved the Immortal Hulk this week, even though I had no idea what the hell was going on. Man, what a convoluted book, but very enjoyable when you get down to the end of it. I loved Marauders this week. Man, Marauders was badass.
That was a good read, man.
A hell of a good read. Curse of the White Knight. I'm also really enjoying this. Some DC love here for Batman Superman #3. This is the deceased cover. I'm liking this, except for the fact where the whole Year of the Villain thing shows up in the end of it. And I'm like, shit, I'm not reading this crossover. I really don't care about it. And I hope that it doesn't get in the way of any of the titles that I'm actually enjoying. King Thor #2 continues to impress. And I'm absolutely loving this Immortal Hulk director's cut as they're coming out. I don't know if they're doing more than just the first 6, but this is issue #6. And I've been absolutely loving that. It's just really killer stuff. Pick of the week, though, it's got to be this Philip Tan cover on Marauders.
Oh, damn.
Look at them shiny jubblies.
Yeah, I still need to get that one. That one's gorgeous.
Real shiny. But yeah, I definitely dug Marauders. Definitely my pick of the week. Drunk Kitty Pride saying, come on, Iceman, let's go fight aggro humans. It's just really killer stuff. I enjoyed it.
That was dope.
Awesome. Next up, we'll go to Cat Run Figures. Cat, what did you get a chance to read this week?
Hi. All right. So first off, I want to address the chat, and I want to address John's Comics with Kids in particular. Mark is nothing without a cat run. Okay.
Mark might eat your kids.
I was gonna say I am an amazing auntie to all of my nieces and nephew. Yeah, that's what he said. Oh
maybe.
Oh well.
No.
Anywho, moving on into my picks of the week. I got 2 from Baltimore Comic Con, and I got 1 from my polls. First off, Moochie the Dumpster Cat. Moochie the Dumpster Cat is fantastic. I was with Carson when we picked this up, and it's a pissed off cat that he's feeding at this dumpster, and the entire time other cats are making fun of him because he's a homeless cat. But a cat doesn't take shit from anyone, and he's my new spirit animal. And then another pickup is the Sock issue 1. So what happens when you put
socks?
you put 6 socks in the dryer and 5 come out? That 6th one was fighting crime. And I gotta tell you, Carson was with me when I got this too. But the guy was really cool that we bought this from. He was a lot of fun, and this comic was a lot of fun. Not a lot of text going on there, but the artwork's pretty fun throughout. If you're looking for a silly read, maybe look for the Sock issue 1. But
Mr. Sarko.
out of the stuff that's come out, I think this came out technically like last week or the week before. I don't know, because Midtown and my postal service worker are in an epic battle against each other. But it's something is killing the children.
I love that cover.
Oh, yeah, that's the SOC variant.
Oh, yeah.
That is really cool.
I love this cover. It's gorgeous. And I got to tell you, this book so far has been fantastic. I do love the fact that they include this every single issue because, we need to be reminded what's going on there. The horror and the gore continued throughout is still just as fantastic. Sorry, Midnighters deciding to climb for some weird reason. Cat mom problems. But definitely still excited to see where this is going. The blonde in this is still just as ferocious as she was in the first issue, and would highly suggest this, without spoilers, would highly suggest you pick up a copy if you are not currently reading Something is Killing the Children.
It's a damn good,
That's
damn
right,
good read.
motherfucker.
Triple cheese.
Jane Cornette.
Oh God.
Is that all you got, kiddo?
Well, I got a bunch, but those are my top picks. Oh, another thing I just picked up today. Actually,
autonomy to do the hell.
Sorry.
Stop it.
They won't stop.
Mommy is busy.
Motherfucker.
I just picked this up today. It's Wonder Woman Bloodlines, and it's the Target Steelbook. I haven't actually opened it yet. I picked it up earlier today.
Nice.
But, I do love my DC animated stuff. I'll tell you right now, I don't care what anyone says.
That's right, Mark. Let it breathe. Let it breathe,
Animation
Mark.
That is
so
really
much
good.
better than
That's
live
not a
action.
bad-
They can get away with more. They can put more characters in there, and it's just
You'll enjoy that, Cat. It was done very well.
fantastic
Nice.
throughout.
Yeah.
So, Wonder Woman Bloodlines, got the Steelbook because I do loves me some Steelbook, and those are my top picks for this week.
Hey, Andy, real quick. Did that thing I sent to you, did you give it to those dudes?
Yeah, they are held up for a bit, and
Okay.
hopefully we'll see them soon. But
Yeah, no worries. I just want to know when I can go finish off what I had to do in the private chat.
right, yeah, oh yeah, you're good on that.
The turtle was coming. I had to go.
Dude, I gotta know.
It's Meerkat Manor over there.
I gotta know what I need an update, Cat. What is Mark eating?
Steak.
Steak.
Ooh.
It's what's for dinner.
I made steak, and then he continued to complain about it and tell me that I didn't make it correctly. So he decided to remake it. That's why we were going all kerfluffled before.
Little happy couple enjoying their meat. We love it.
Carson, I didn't get to pick up anything, but can I share something with the
He
group?
did make me a drink though.
Yeah, let me click on Chad here.
No. Keep it like this.
Yep. Zoom it in.
No, I'm good.
Are we gonna show?
What do you got, Chad?
Halloween
So,
costumes?
I got contacted by Tom Pyre. I don't know if you guys remember Doc Brown.
Yeah.
Fryer, yeah.
And Doc Brown was a little upset with me because we didn't have him on in Baltimore because they have a big announcement. And one of their books has been picked up and is being made into a movie ASAP.
Is it Captain? Is it the cat?
It wasn't their first wave. I actually had this book, now I can't remember. I showed it as my pick of the week a couple months back. It's about these three jocks in the 80s that somehow get frozen in time, and they wake up in today's society where the nerds have taken over and they're going nuts.
Yeah, that's us.
And so it's being made into a movie by the same people that did Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, nice.
So either next week or the following week, they will be coming on to tell us about their movie. So
Nice.
That's awesome.
Mark has a pick.
Let's go back
Or-
to the mystery. Well, we got to know the mystery now.
Yeah, let's get to the bottom
just
of it.
lick it real slow and weird.
What's the mysterious flavor?
Make it Mark, when you do this, make it
Live taste
super
test.
weird.
Make
Mark,
it-
do it real slow. Do it real slow, Mark. Real slow.
I'm gonna eat that Oreo as sexy.
Hold
as
on,
you
let me get
fucking
music
can.
to play. Hold on. Don't touch it until I get
We got porno music.
that's
Chad, we got porno music. Where's the porno music?
What does it smell like?
Smells like cookie dough.
By the way, Chad, I sent you that gift.
I
I
don't.
saw it. Yep.
What?
It could be like pineapple or peach or something.
Go.
I don't think it's pineapple.
Slow, Mark.
Why are you making me go?
It
slow
smells like
this?
gingerbread.
Kind of does.
It smells like gingerbread to me.
Oh yeah. Oh, what's that cookie taste like? Do you like it?
Does it taste good?
Yeah.
Hours of match game.
True.
How is the cookie?
There, I just unmuted it. I don't anymore. I'm trying to concentrate on the flavor.
Oh my god. So what flavor is it, Beb?
A relaxed ass is a happy.
Anywho.
And there go the rails, friends. There go the rails.
Just kind of
Oh, what's the cookie taste like?
gingerbread.
Do it ASMR.
Totally gingerbread.
What's that thing that they do when they talk real slow into the mic?
No.
ASMR.
Graham
ASMR it. Is that what it's called?
Is it
This is like
s'mores?
Teddy Graham.
Is it s'mores?
Talk like this, Mark. Just talk like this.
Think about it.
Make love to it.
Put the microphone by the mouth.
What?
I'm saying it now. This is one. I thought it smells like a gingerbread, but it's 100% Teddy Graham.
Teddy Graham made of flavor.
No, like graham cracker, like honey nut graham cracker.
You just described like 3 different things.
You know
Maybe
what I'm saying.
No, I don't.
Chocolatey? Is it still
13
chocolatey?
years. You need to know what I'm saying here. Okay, does everyone know those little Teddy Graham cookie
Yeah.
cracker things?
Yeah, man.
Scooby-Doo.
Well, that is 100% what this tastes like.
I used to bite their legs off first.
I used to stand
I like
one
that
up
mini
next
yours
to the other
too.
one and ask
like the
which one
legs
of them
on.
wanted it first, and then I would like bite their limbs off and then make the others watch in horror.
That sounds like you.
I do the same thing with Easter bunnies.
I don't know if you guys know this,
I
but
eat
Mark
their ears off so you can hear me coming.
Repeat, Mark.
Terrible.
Oh,
Should I agree with my aviators? I'll put them on.
Maybe.
Okay.
Mark, go put on jeans and a white T-shirt and put your hands in your pockets
oh
Who's
boy.
wearing jeans?
Don't move. And don't
I
move.
figured that.
Oh my god.
Oh boy. Chad, can I share a couple of picks for the week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God. Andy, what are your picks of the week, buddy?
All right, I got 3 picks for the week, and
Yay.
I'm surprised Drew didn't bring this up. With Middle West.
I haven't read it yet. I didn't pick it up from my shop yet.
I definitely ain't spoiling nothing, but the story's still going strong. That was good. Kat brought it up. This is the other cover. This is, I believe, the cover A. She had the FOC variant.
That is such a good book.
It is so good.
It's an amazing book.
But my big pick of the week.
Oh,
Oh, that ASM 129 from Baltimore, baby.
that
There
book's
we go.
complete now, bro.
Yeah, man. Like, what else are you gonna put up there?
I
We
don't
got
know.
no room left.
Once in the Future 3 might have been 2 weeks ago, but that was a really good read.
That was last week, but yeah, it's really solid.
That was solid.
Hey, show the.
Gonna be honest with you, Comic Man Andy. That kind of gave me a chubby when I saw it.
The ASM 129?
Yeah.
Oh boy. So
Let's pull it down. Get him full nest.
Let's not go that way.
Oh wow.
I mean,
That present's way better than an 8.5, by the way. I saw that book with Ditko. This guy who had it, and I talked to him on Sunday for a while. I'm like, thanks again for doing that and you did a great job and it was a great deal. And he just flat out said, he goes, what did you think of that book? What do you think it should have been great? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't open it up and read it, but honestly, it's the best presenting 8.5. It presents almost like a 9.4, 9.6. I mean, there's a little thing on the back, but other than that, it looks just so solid.
one of my favorite back covers as a kid, Evil Knievel.
Evil Knievel. There it is.
Like that is so white. Like
Yeah.
this
It's white pages, minty white. I mean, newsstand
Yeah.
white. Carson, newsstand white.
This should have been a 9 to 9.2 in my opinion, because the only thing I can find that's dragging it down is maybe one little staple kind of like pull a little bit, and it was so hard to read or so hard to see. I didn't see it on the convention floor until I got it here under bright lights. This thing it's the best it's the best cut 129 I saw on the floor all day long. All week.
Yeah. Remember, I put mine up
That's it.
against it, and you could see how precision cut his was. You see the Marvel Blue Marvel Comic Books logo. That is even Steven throughout, and that is the 90. That is where you find out. If you can see the Spider-Man webs above it, just like that, it's perfect cut. I mean, honestly, that would be one of those that would be, CV. I mean, maybe a good CVA for the grade. But if you wanted to go fly for that would be.
Yeah, and JD, I was inches away from buying your book, but the only reason why I didn't was because I saw your book in the first 2 hours of the entire 3-day convention.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, I would say that you made out much better with that book than mine. My book is not pressed, but I still don't think it would ever get an 8.5 if I tried.
And that that convention. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. The 129s were moving a lot quicker than I anticipated. There were sales of 6s and 7s with white pages within the first 20, 30 minutes of the convention. There was a handful of those sales. Those things moved a lot faster than I thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
The 129 is one of those books though that has like steady growth and value. Even like everything else, it kind of ebbs and flows with the movie news.
It actually, it's never
the
had
Punisher
a
just never. It doesn't have a huge pop, but it's a steady growth, and it's never really taken a dip either. It's like every time you're like, oh well, maybe the series is over for right now, and it's kind of the character's kind of in limbo as far as like movie or television production goes, but still no dip on that Punisher first appearance.
Well, the Punisher's never really been considered one of the core heroes in the universe of heroes. He's been an anti-hero. Exactly, JD, right? Like he's one of those super undervalued keys in my opinion. Look at his second appearance catching up over the last couple of years with the show. Speaking of that, look at Deadpool's second appearance catching heat. That book is picking up speed, but it's one of those keys in my opinion, and he's one of those heroes that never really got the full love from the community that a lot of the other heroes did. But the tides are turning. Things are changing a little bit with speculation and with some future foresight and whatnot. And people are when people are priced out of the first Spider-Man, the first the first Hulk, the first all that other stuff, we're going to heroes that we love that we pick up still.
Nice.
Still a solid character with the Punisher logo itself is something that's internationally recognized, and you're talking about a really great Bronze Age first appearance.
Yeah, I consider it, of all the Bronze Age first appearance that have had their moment in the sun recently, your Tomb of Dracula 10s especially, and your Wolf One Eye 32 recently. This one never had its due, but I like the fact that like I was able to pick up one for a reasonable price recently. And beyond a shadow of a doubt, the book itself is a Spider-Man book.
Yep.
We have to take that into account. Outside maybe 122, 121, that area, the Gwen Stacy stuff. In the Bronze Age, that's it. 129, that is the first appearance on all the Spider-Man books that is usually the number one that everybody's going after. One of the things about 129 that I did see at the con, and I have seen at cons recently, is dealers love bringing them in, and they never want to not have them. That's one of those books, if you watch sometimes with DS and I, we always talk about books that we constantly see out there. If we see it in the wild, we flip it. That's out there. And I want to do my little book thing. Is that okay? We do my little, what did I read this week?
Oh, yeah.
Flat out. Shout out, Miss Cat Wren. I waited a year to get this book. I read the entire thing while I was stranded, my friends. Stranded. Wow. Stranded completely. And I ended up going to Dallas for a little while. Going there. And shout out to who knows me like this guy? Who got me this book? What's his name? Right over there. Got me this book. Knows I like the storyline. This is like a steampunky book by Mr. Drew Manchu got me. And Drew, I'm gonna honest with you, this was phenomenal. It's very different. It's not what you would think in it there. It's very much kind of reminds me of
I didn't give you that book.
It's funny you guys gave it to me. I don't remember.
That wasn't me.
I had a few in me.
If you enjoyed it, you're welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you. Then I got a big old
I got you the Doctor Strange book.
Right, I got those here. Then I read all these Doctor Strangers, and I got these artworks, and I got myself a beautiful cover on this variant here. I got some from this one was great too, and I got some beautiful Ultimate in here. There's a Spider Grandpa as well, and of course, Comic Misexplained can't not give me the space elephant right here.
Dude, that's
look
dope.
at this EC. I tried reading this. It's there's a story in there that's readable. The rest of them it's just typical EC film. But this is one of those that crosses the sci-fi into the horror, into the elephant cover world of my sick brain. So, very cool stuff this week. And once again, shout out everybody else. Also, my wife is reading a book called Snot Girl.
Yes!
And
yes!
She said, I love me some of this bitch, is what she said. So she's reading it now upstairs. I think she's right now, I think she's doing laundry right now because I heard her car's pretty loud.
Lottie person is.
It usually means I left something in my pockets that I probably shouldn't have. But there we go. How's everybody? Look at this. Wow.
I would say if
Lottie
you're a
person.
fan, of
Wow.
program, give Snot Girl a try.
Badass right there.
This is my girl. I mean, Starfire is my girl, but This is my side piece right here.
Yeah. She says it reads. It's a book that reads very quickly early.
Yes.
But then you hit a moment where you want to go back and reread that beginning again and say, "Are you kidding me?" You know, that's how. There's a beautiful sketch right there.
I
that was
got
another thing I
this
wanted.
at Baltimore.
Oh, you did? I didn't. See
Yeah,
that.
I got this commission done at Baltimore.
Nice.
I say, did somebody say original art?
What's up with the throws? They're like not comic book related.
I have comic book related throws.
No, the throw pillows.
That's what I have. Comic book throw pillows.
I'm
They're
in the
not-
throes of a comic book
Yeah, they're
related
not
show
being
right
watched,
now.
like
They're all
they're
being
not like
watched right now.
they're not
Couple
Starfire or
pillows,
something.
a TV news
They're
reporter.
comfy.
I got to get you some covers for those. Let
But
me get you
I
Starfire.
like them. I just bought them.
I like them too, but
I
like
got a
it
sketch
doesn't
too.
fit
I'm
you.
gonna go get it.
They're bright orange.
I say, remember this one, JD?
Oh yeah, this guy, Brad Bennett, right?
These
Brett
were guys-
Breeding,
that's
man.
a chat.
Brett Breeding did that one. That when he went over to him, I
What?
thanked him
I
the next
know.
day for Brett Breeding for doing that. And we talked about the Thor piece I want to do with him with the Thor because he did a lot of Thors with Mr. Dan Jurgens, and yeah, I actually have quite a few of the
That's
Dan
gorgeous.
Jurgens Thors. That was just amazing. But I was just
Brett
looking at it. I mean,
Breeding.
honest to God, on a scale of 1 to 10,
Brett
I'd say 1
Breeding.
million.
He's actually sending me something.
Oh,
He
you did
talked-
get your contact? Nice.
Oh, I have to shout out a contact. I got an email back from Terry Dodson's people for John's Comics with Kids. I'll call you back on that one. I'll send you the info.
I want to give some shout out to that chat. We got Chucky Clevenger.
Clevenger.
Okay, cool. Thank
Chucky
you.
Clevenger.
We've got the
Clevenger.
Prince, the Uncanny Cow Walker. But listen, guys, I got to ask for a favor. If you haven't subbed us up and you're watching, please sub us up because we're 4 away from 800, and it'd be pretty cool to get 800 while we're on air. Whoa, shit! We just got 800.
That's quick.
No, I'm joking.
Bolo!
What's
I'm
that?
gonna bow out. I'm gonna bow out.
All right.
We have a first full.
Yeah, right. We already got the
First,
cameo.
take the wheel, my friend.
All right. I'll kick you out here, Chad. And then we're putting in our guests for the night.
Oh,
Ooh,
hi.
guess time.
So we got Brian from Simple Man's Comics and AKA Mr. Bolo. How are you guys doing tonight?
Man, like you said, happy to be here for that first full appearance. You know,
Yeah.
got to break my 19-second record.
We got that. We got that cameo little snippet. Now we got the
All
first
right.
full. You're speaking and everything.
All right, and if anyone has ever watched the channel, they know how I feel about cameo appearances.
Look, we all know the cameos suck, but the market dictates what the first appearance is.
Right. We don't get to pick. That's for sure.
It's true.
I definitely have to thank you guys. I caught some of your show earlier tonight. Appreciate you guys plugging the Comic Core and Midwest Comic Man Paul's GoFundMe. You guys started off the show with that tonight, so big thanks. Definitely deserve a shout out for that. And actually, why I'm thinking about it, we'll go ahead and just put that right back in the chat just in case anyone missed it to begin with. Please check the GoFundMe link so we can help out Paul's daughter, get her out of the hospital, run around and doing young kid things for sure. But for those of you who don't know Simple Man, aka Mr. Bolo, Simple Man, why don't you tell us a little bit about your channel just in case some people are living under a rock out there?
Right. So, Simple Man's Comics, aka Mr. Bolo, co-host. We do a lot of comic book videos in general. We like the hobby. We touch on some speculation. So we have a couple shows during the week where we're having a hot and cold, where we talk about what's hot and what's cold in the comic book market. That's kind of changing up starting this week. Our main video is going monthly, but this week we're going to start calling it 3 Up, 3 Down. We're shortening it to like 10 to 15 minutes long. Jack and I are going to do 3 hot picks, 3 cold picks. Thursday nights, we do the Bolo show where we're recapping the week's releases, first appearances, reader buzz, variant buzz. And then Friday, we usually end the week off with the last call where we are talking about comic books that are hitting final order cutoff the coming Monday. And then usually right when we get done premiering that, Jack and myself are usually spectating this show. So we're fans of Comic Core. It was one of the best things was talking to you guys in Baltimore, meeting all you guys. I think I spent more time talking to everyone, and I was like, oh wait, I didn't really look at any books or do a lot of other stuff because I was just having a good time talking to each and every one of y'all. So I really enjoyed that.
Nice. And yeah, I know Baltimore was fast and furious. I wanted to ask you guys, how was your Baltimore Comic Con? Because I think I shook each of your hands one time and then had to run somewhere else.
Yeah. Baltimore was insane. We had a great time. We kind of had an idea of what we wanted to get accomplished in Baltimore, and I don't necessarily think we per se did what we wanted to do, but I think it was invaluable as far as we spent a lot of time like meeting with publishers, networking and talking, trying to set some things up for the future. So we did a lot with that. I tell you what, being there with you guys was really inspiring for us because Brian and I had kind of kicked around a similar setup, and watching you guys do your thing was awesome. I mean, you guys were humming. You guys had buzz all weekend. You had guests coming in and out. So for us, that like reinvigorated us on our like weekly scheduled programming that we're kind of doing on a weekly basis, to see you guys go out there and kind of kick ass the way you guys did. So, and then just hanging out, meeting everybody, man. Everybody was the biggest thing is like, we talk about community, right? And everybody talks about it. And then sometimes you get to see that kind of bullshit negative underbelly of it. But everybody in Baltimore was nothing but like love and respect. So I really enjoyed getting to see that. And then hunting books. Who doesn't like to do that, right?
Absolutely.
Great con for hunting books as well.
Yeah.
I don't think I overpaid for a single thing that I bought. I feel like I got a deal and everything. And normally you go to a con and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to be paying some con prices here. You kind of set aside, a couple extra $100 to make sure that, all the inflation rate is covered. And especially these guys coming to, the Baltimore, Washington area has kind of an inflated, like cost of living, compared to the average man in the city. And so sometimes you get, people who come in and they want to get top dollar for things. But man, I was happy to find a deal on just about everything that I purchased.
Right. And just looking at your Instagram, the amount of creators and artists and stuff that they're so accessible there. We kind of talked about this. We were actually, right before we came on, we were recording kind of a panel show because we didn't get as much footage that we wanted to do while we were there. And we were discussing that, how accessible the artists are, how much talent they actually have at that con, and how many comic books they actually have there. Because you go to a lot of comic cons now, and it's more pop culture con or toys and swords and shields and not many books. But they have everything at Baltimore. And I know, Drew, you're kind of local to the area as well. So me, it's about an hour and a half drive. So it's always something I look forward to every year because it's a little bit low stress. Go up there, stay the weekend. And we're talking about, it's one of those cons where it's crowded but never overcrowded.
Right. And I was talking to a lot of dealers who were a little upset that the marathon and the running festival was on Saturday because traffic was terrible. And I tell you what, traffic on the show floor on Saturday was manageable for the first time in recent memory for me at Baltimore. And normally Saturday is butts to nuts, just a madhouse. And I think that was as far as for me enjoying myself on Saturday, it was definitely helpful for it not to be overwhelming. And I know I talked to a lot of dealers who said that they were making their money on quality instead of quantity. But people were there, people were buying things, and people were having a good time, man. It seems like one of my favorite things about the con was not only meeting everybody from the Comic Corp again, but meeting some folks who had never come out with the Comic Corp before, getting a chance to meet White Whale Comics and John's Comics with Kids was awesome. Getting to see some of the New York Warriors was great. Getting to meet you guys
and JB,
really awesome.
JB.
Discovery Bay, man, we hung out in Chicago, and that dude is old hat to me at this point. Like he doesn't excite me any longer. Like the magic is done. The curtain has been pulled back. I know how all the gears work. He just goes nonstop, and you just got to try to keep up. But honestly, is the sheer depth of people who came to this con that I have never met in person and got to shake hands with it was really an amazing experience.
Yeah, I think there was one or two times. I mean, I'm gonna lose all credit possible, revoke my man card, but there's a couple times where had some almost happy tears come up just because it was the excitement of meeting everyone that you talk to online, you talk through DMs, you talk through chats. I do hope that Baltimore keeps the con in October. That couple weeks makes a big difference. I like it a little bit cooler, except for we didn't get to see the guy out there selling the waters for $1. But
Well, he was out there.
He was there.
was he?
He was out there when we were trying to get food that Saturday.
Yeah. Saturday's kind of a blur to me because Friday night was a little.
That's not gone too soon.
I got to talk to Bolo. I didn't know you were a wrestling fan, man.
Yeah, man, I'm a huge wrestling fan. I watch everything from the small indie promotions, Japan, all the majors. I got the Orange Cassidy on the screen. Everything there is. So yeah, I today when I was doing some writing for CBSI, I was sitting there listening to what I didn't get to see from the show last night, and I was like, man, it's insane. That show yesterday was awesome.
Nice.
Thanks, man. We've been trying to do something for that for a while, but hey, you two guys, I appreciate you guys being on with us, and I'm gonna be jumping back out and letting Drew back in, but I just wanted to give you my personal admiration and saying thank you, and I love everything you guys do. Kick ass. You guys support us, and we support the shit out of y'all. So thank you.
I consider it a privilege for you allowing us on here.
Dude.
Oh, come on.
We're off the rails. We're ridiculous. That's the problem.
There are guys like Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard in this world. We got these two guys right here. These guys are part of the Horsemen right now. We're going to call it out now. Simple Man and Mr. Bolo. Woo! They're allowed to join us at any time. They're here all the time with the Golden Boy. Woo! No hunt tonight, so we're going to.
So I take it JD's not Team Hogan?
Man, that big blonde, I will take him down and right on his head. Right.
No blade jobs tonight, JD. No blade jobs.
No.
Get you packet of ketchup ready.
Man, I'm styling and profiling over here. I'm the hardest working man there is right now. You know this right now. I'm dealing, high flying, jet flying. Woo! Rolex wearing. And these Savage Dragon shoes are coming off. Say hello to Mr. Man. Polo.
Savage Dragon shoes.
Guys, also, I wanted to give you guys, I had to jump in and say, I wanted to say thank you again for giving Paul a shout out. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
That's probably my main focus for the next couple of weeks is going to be helping out Paul and everything else. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. And like I said, you guys are more than welcome to join in and enjoy some of the fun. Yeah, there's a little shadow.
I'm gonna need when you guys have it, I need the link to that video because I've already got viewers asking for the link to that auction video.
I'll send it to you. We will
tomorrow night, Sunday night, and I think Hudat Comics.
Hudat, I think
doing an auction.
Yep, and I think some other people have contacted me that they're going to donate when they're done, and of course we got the mystery boxes. The Dragon Heart mystery boxes are going to be amazing. That's all I can tell you. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be hot fire and so fun. So here's some of the original art that we got here.
He wants to say hi.
Midnighter.
He's seen you guys enough. I watch enough of Simple Man's videos. Midnighter wants to say hi.
Somebody in the I want to shout out the artist here. If anybody knows who did this one, he's phenomenal. The art chemist right there, he's phenomenal. This is I purchased from him. It's worth it right there. This, by the way, is just one of my favorite pieces. I keep it hidden fine there, and I'll be shouting him out coming up very soon. Look at this phenomenal piece, and I'm requesting him to do a little commission for someone for the Paul, and I plan on doing that out for everybody very soon. So good stuff.
But yeah, just while we're kind of talking about the auction, if there is anyone out there at all interested in donating for the auction, just hit myself up, JD, Comic Corp Chat, or the Great Legend Show on Instagram, Facebook Messenger, however you feel like getting a hold of us, or the onecomic@gmail.com email. And we can either get you on the auction, or we can probably show pictures and kind of offer up your stuff.
Yeah,
and,
just shout out
Paul as best as possible.
And shout out Comic Spectre. If you don't know,
absolutely.
He is absolutely donating some books with some pictures, and he's been very busy lately, and he is fighting the good fight, serving our country. My best to you. Thank you for your service, Israel, as always.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the best.
See, we've got a lot of new action in that chat.
Yeah, see, we're on the same page here. Before we continue the old Gorilla guest here, I want to get back into that chat. We got Common 6 explain he's not gone too soon tonight. Got a chance to know him a little too well on a car ride to Baltimore. So, yeah, close quarters for 4 hours straight.
Did anybody try to sell you a case of bananas for $5?
Yeah. We got Comic Books NYC. What is going on, Cobb? You always like seeing you chat. We got Mr. Media Mailman himself. I promise you, on the action, we won't send our stuff media, but Jason Smith, he loves him some media mail. How's it going, Mr. Smith? We got the big dog, Roman Curtis, in the chat. What's going on, Roman?
Loves him some
time no
auctions
see,
too.
man.
Loves him some auctions.
Roman, you better be
He
showing
adored
up this
auction
weekend.
and he
These
came
auctions,
a running.
baby.
One of my favorite buyers in the auction business.
We still got Chunky Clevenger. That's what I'm sticking with. I like the word Clevenger. So there you go. That's what I'm sticking with. And of course, bad news, Chris Barrett still in the chat. But nonetheless, let's get back to our guests here. And actually, we probably need to get some Andy action.
Yeah,
here.
tag me out. Let's tag Andy in.
Who's tagging out here? You say you're tagging out,
Yeah,
Drew. We'll
I'm a
tag Drew out here. And we'll get my co-host for Modern Men, Comic Man Andy. So I want to go down the line with the three of you guys. I always got to ask every one of my guests, whether it's a big creator, YouTuber, what have you. I'll start with you, Brian. What got you into the comic book media, man?
My parents tell me I need to read more.
Nice.
It was one of those things where I liked watching A-Team, MacGyver, and television and movies, especially as a child, I lived in Germany from 84 to 88. I'm dating myself here, but so there wasn't much unless you wanted to watch German television. You watched Beta or VHS, and we had people from the States sending us stuff. And of course, my parents like, you need to read more. And we're in the grocery store one time, and I actually started reading with the Archie double digests and the single digest because they were right at the store rack. So I started with Archie and was reading into those, and then I got heavily into card trading. And then, of course, the big thing that got me into comic books, which is a lot of people my age, if they weren't into it yet, 1989 when that Batman movie came out, I mean, it kind of flipped the switch on a lot of people, and it's like, hey, I kind of know Batman. And then I just started reading more of the big two rather than Archie comics. And I got out of it in mid-90s because high school football was more important than comic books to me at the time, and went in the Marine Corps. And I came back to the hobby right around 2008 when Iron Man movie came out. Kind of like, ooh. And so it's Batman movie got me into it. Iron Man movie brought me back to it. And then it was just reliving the hobby. And I always say most of my collection is usually nostalgia driven. It's always something that reminds me back to a kid or stories I liked or something that goes that way. So huge Masters of the Universe fan. That's my favorite, of course. And then getting on YouTube, talking to other comic people, there's books that I never probably would have even touched until some people said, hey, if you like that, check this book out. If you like this, check this book out. And then next thing you know, you're just reading other books. And that got me even more down like the whole indie line to where now I'm like, love independent comics almost more than Marvel and DC because it's fun to read something other than superheroes every now and then. So
absolutely. Yeah, that Batman movie, I mean, I think people underrate that in terms of how influential that movie was in getting people hooked back into the medium. And especially since it kind of reflected where the comic book medium was at with, The Dark Knight Returns and Year One and those Batman stories. So I absolutely love that movie just for that sake.
And it still holds up.
It does.
It's kind of campy, but Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about that movie and what its impact, Carson, was there was a lot of skateboarding was going on around the same time. Tony Hawk, Rob Roscott, Powell Peralta were very, very big, huge skateboarding names. That was a big thing in New York where I was living. And every skateboarder guy had Batman stickers. The new logo, it was a very common thing. They were putting them on their boards, but they were then all of a sudden, here I am sitting here after being called nerd, whatever, for all those times, and all of a sudden say, hey, would you like to read this Frank Miller, The Dark Knight? And oh boy, woo, comic books were flying off the shelf, and all those Batman was very popular. And then that led into everything else. And I think the big boom of the late mid-90s, I always say, you take the immediate first one was the Batman movie, and then the Jim Lee run on X-Men, which I know people think I'm crazy about it. I'm praising Jim Lee. I'm not kidding. Woo! Sometimes you got to praise him sometimes. If it wasn't for him, he is the best thing in comics that happened. If it wasn't for him, you'd never have the Comic-Con. So I do blame Jim Lee for getting a lot of people younger than or around my age that weren't into comics as a result of being from the Batman to the X-Men, which went into the speculation world. But that happens anyway, baseball cards, whatever. But now we're in a different world where we run it, man. It's our planet.
Real quick,
every major TV show, I don't care if Martin Scorsese or Francis Ford Coppola, that schmuck on wheels, said, because he went to high school with George Lucas, and if he thinks only his movies are the medium, you are a typical guy who stole half your stuff from none of the stuff, the James Cagney movies. You thief! You stole from the golden age. The Godfather was a Mario Puzo book. You didn't even write the damn script. You're just a guy who directed a film. You didn't create it. Go pound sand. These guys are creators. You didn't create anything. Sorry, and if you're watching Francis Ford Coppola, you did a good job on Apocalypse Now. As far as Godfather is one of my favorite movies, obviously. Leave the gun, get the cannolis. Next, we have the other one I was going to bring up. The final one was Mr. Scorsese himself, who said that all of them are the same and they're not films. Well, that's like saying Howard Stern isn't radio. Howard Stern is on the radio. He is radio. Saying that these are not films is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And James Gunn had a great response to this. He said, hey, Marty, which is great, all of your movies are the same. And we love every one of them. We're not insulting you when we say that. We take you saying that all our movies are the same, not as an insult. So, Scorsese, Departed was good. A little too perfect for me. But I love all your stuff, obviously Goodfellas and everything else. And Simple Man, one of the things I want to ask you, do you remember there was a group that I was with, there was 1,000 comic book collectors that's sent, starting in 2004, comic books every week. We got 1,000 comic books, and we'd send them overseas to, 200 to Camp Pennsylvania, 200 to Camp Washington, 200 to there, 200 to the bases in Germany. We came up with an idea that it was just way back when. This was a group of people out of New York, actually, Midtown Comics. So some of the guys there, Brad and those guys, kind of helped me out. And it wasn't me who came up with it. Somebody else came up with it. And we just got a stack. So I had a friend overseas, and everybody was kind of like what we do now. But back then it was sending the books. And one guy got a book and said, hey, how do we get more of these books over there? Because everybody was sending the great stuff, the foot powders and everything. But a lot of guys requested comic books. And you'd be surprised what some of the most common ones were asked for were your Superman, your Spider-Mans, and a lot of different ones. Frank Castle was huge. Punisher. So Comic Man Andy was right there. I think Superman, if you remember, there was a lot of guys that were reading a lot of Punishers, but they were also reading a lot of graphic novels were being sent over. And I thought that was real well done. A lot of graphic novels. So I want to shout out to you and thank you for your service as well.
Yeah, I was doing that recently because both my brothers are Army. My older brother, officer, led was there during the whole Iraq, taking Iraq, and then he did 2 tours in Afghanistan. So he tells me stories every now and then. I don't ask for them because being a Marine Corps veteran, I know, hey, don't fish for information because you never know what you might dig up or reaction you might get. But I would send comics to them even if my brothers aren't comic fans, but I knew there's someone in your unit that could use them, so I would send care packages of comics. And then my roommates at the time of Virginia Beach, I had a house and I'd rent rooms out to people from my old squadron. I'd gotten out, but I was doing DOD contractor work. So I had roommates that were at the squadron I used to be stationed at. And then whenever they would deploy, I would just send packages to them. Whether they like comics or not, I said, someone wherever you are will like books. So I would just sit there and send stacks and boxes. And they don't care about the condition. They're just going to read it and, toss it off to the next guy. Got to be careful how I say that, especially with military in the desert, but hand it off to the next guy and so on. So yeah, those are always great things to do, to send books. And you never know, man, stories, they distract you from when you need that distraction most. So that's why it's always great to send books to people deployed.
Sorry, I was muted. I wanted to tag in because I was trying to do something for you, Brian, and Kat, and he literally just laid there and just went. So yeah, he was. So he's going trick. Oh shit!
Georgie.
He's going trick or treating tomorrow with my wife, who's dressing up as it
Nice.
to pass out candy, and I got him a raincoat to look like Georgie. And
No. Tell them the evolution of this raincoat.
well, I went to PetSmart. I bought him a extra large dog, and it didn't fit. So I went to the store and got a small men's, and that didn't fit. And then I ended up having to get an extra large men's, and it fit.
I got a yellow tarp and cut a hood out of it.
Exactly right. So hey, guys, I wanted to ask you. There is a book from Ahoy Comics that just got picked up as a movie, and we were talking to Tom Pryor, who's going to be coming on probably next week or the following week. And it's about three jocks in the 80s. So imagine the Johnnies from Karate Kid. They get frozen in time. They get frozen and they thaw out in present day. And the mall that they were at is now a convention center, and it's just hosting tons of Comic-Cons. The comic is hilarious, but what do you guys think? Do you think Ahoy and these smaller guys are going to have an impact on pricing on some of these books? Or is it always going to remain the big two?
No, I think it's anybody's ball game at this point because Brian and I have talked a lot about, we have a buddy that works at Sony, and he's kind of schooled us to the fact that it when you're getting these pitches, oftentimes for various movies, you're trying to envision what the movie is going to look like, right? And with comics, it's such an awesome medium because you're getting essentially storyboard within the pages of a comic. So I think it doesn't matter if you're the smallest press indie publisher. It's all about your hustle, and not just the publisher, because with a lot of the kind of creator-owned titles, it's on the creator as well. If they can get their work in front of these Hollywood types, I think it doesn't matter. The big two is going to exist, right? They've got their universes, they've got their big movie companies associated with them, with Warner and Disney. But that's where I look at a lot of these independent companies, from the bigger ones like Boom and IDW down to the smaller ones like Ahoy or Source Point Press, Mad Cave Studios. I think it's just a matter of time before we start seeing some of their properties hitting the big screen.
How much of a jump do you see in the Deadshot, the original run, and then the the Lemire run?
It's about Bloodshot.
Bloodshot. I'm sorry, I said Deadshot.
Yeah. You're already seeing it. You and I talked on Sunday, right? You and I went over and watched that trailer right after. I then went to start digging on the con floor, and it was amazing watching people walk by me talking about Bloodshot, walk up to dealers asking about Bloodshot. You're already seeing people look for it. Now, people are first appearance driven, so they're looking for a lot of the books from the first run. But what you're also seeing, what I noticed over the next couple of days, is those 1 in 20 and 1 in 50 incentives from the Lemire run, and even some from Bloodshot Salvation and some of the other Bloodshot related series are spiking as well, because there's a lot of people who were so skeptical of that movie, even within speculation communities. Brian and I have been affiliated for a long time with CBSI. I'm known as the Valiant guy within CBSI. People have given me a lot of shit over the years for that. But people are so doubting of it. But I know that it's Valiant is a kind of a big publisher, but they're not. Their print runs are very in line with what creator-owned publishing companies put out. So I knew that if there was any sort of popularity, if there was any sort of thing like a trailer like this hitting and being successful, that it was going to send a lot of the public who listened to the negative talk and didn't really check it out for themselves, right? They didn't really read it or experience it themselves, scrambling to get these issues. Those 1 in 50 variants, they're ghosts on the market. I mean, you can't find them. And the 1 in 20 variants were already tough enough, and now they're skyrocketing. And not enough people got those books graded either. And Valiant fans, while they're small in numbers, they're rabid. So they keep their stuff. They're not reselling it. They're buying it and collecting it. So the market is really dry of a lot of these books, and that's causing some of the spikes that we've seen. I've seen some some 9.8 variants going for 300, 400 in the last couple days. And then just like the most recent release, the Bloodshot #1 that just came out,
Yeah.
the Kevlar 1 and 250 variant was selling for like 160 to 170 over the weekend before the trailer, and now it's hit like 210, 225, 250 just after the trailer, just in a week. So you've seen
I don't know if you guys
$75
do you guys
gained
remember
already.
a couple years ago, Valiant sent out it was a box that had it to all the shops, and it had the ticker that countdown. I actually have it sitting over there for some reason. I have no idea. My shop owner gave it to me, and I was like, but when you said when you're the Valiant guy, you guys are there is a small niche community within this that are Valiant, like supreme. I mean, these guys. I remember walking into the shop. The one guy's like, "Hey, have you read this yet?" And I'm like, "Nah, I really didn't read it when it first came out." And he was like, "I was buying it at the GameStop," and he literally bought every issue and handed it to me. And I was like, "I'm good, man." I mean, it's good to see the evolution of how much they've come, and I think they did an awesome marketing scheme with dropping the figure first, the McFarlane figure at NYC, and then coming back with the trailer. I mean, I think it looks great. I'm hoping it's a blowout. I hope.
Yeah, I'm a comics fan in general. Like, I want the health of the hobby to be good. Yeah. And I think that it can't just be Marvel, DC. So I root for everybody. Like, I root for everybody to be successful. If Valiant's successful, it's just going to be better for all of us. Like, there's going to be more books, more movies, and there's a Valiant character for everybody. So Bloodshot may not be your character, right? If you like Punisher, if you like Deadpool, Bloodshot's for you. But maybe you're into like horror or occult type characters, but then you'll love Shadow Man and Punk Mambo.
Shadow Man's amazing.
Right, but we gotta have Bloodshot do well if we're ever gonna get to Shadow Man.
Hey, at least we didn't get Tommy from the Power Rangers. That's all.
Right. Yeah.
I gotta tag Drew in, guys. Go ahead,
Jack. You brought up that carbon fiber variant. I got to see that in person, and I was stunned at how well they did that cover, man. And I'm really looking forward to more from Valiant and more of Bloodshot. I can't wait to pick that up and see more of those covers.
I'm really excited for the Valiant movie universe because I could not be bothered to read any of these books. I'm right there with you, Bolo. And then you're talking about how people made fun of you for being the Valiant guy. I'm that guy over here making fun of you for being the Valiant guy. I like the thing that really pisses me off the most in comics and my collecting hobby is when I go to $1 or 50 cent bin and it's just Valiant books. I'm just like, why? No, who wants to pay 50 cents for a Valiant book? I can't even wipe my ass with it. The card stock is not good enough for me to wipe my ass with. So I'm really excited to see that Valiant's doing something and getting out there. For me, it's Valiant, and it's like, all right. I hope the movie's really good. I hope it blows my socks off. I really want to be impressed by it. Haven't had time to watch the trailer yet, and I'm not going to read Quantum and Woody. And I can give a shit about Faith.
I hope before your stock.
Some good nonsense, though.
Get done.
Let me.
They have the goat.
They have the goat. There's a goat. There's a goat.
There's a goat.
That's your Ant-Man. That's your Ant-Man property.
No, Ant-Man's my Ant-Man property.
But I'm saying that's your comedy property. Is Quantum and Woody.
So
I just couldn't be bothered to care. So I'm excited that they're making movies out of it. So I have a way to ingest it without having to dig through all these shitty boxes of pissed-smelled comics.
Who doesn't love Archer and Armstrong? It's phenomenal. It's a great one.
I couldn't be bothered.
It's a great one.
I couldn't be bothered to pick it up.
From 1993 to 1995, the original Valiant was setting the world on fire with what they were doing.
I can't be bothered to pick up secondary DC titles. I'm not reading Valiant.
They were different with better art.
Kat, you had a question.
Thank you. So, as someone who's never actually read a Bloodshot comic before, what do you think would be a good entry for it? Because
I think
I've never checked out Bloodshot. I'm not gonna lie.
So this is where I think a lot of people, one thing that they don't understand, and one thing that I've tried to advocate. So I never read a Valiant comic before 2008, 2016 when I interviewed the at the time CEO Dinesh Shamdasani. The owner of CBSI was so negative about Valiant. He had written so much negative press that we kind of were looked at as this anti-Valiant organization. So I wanted to counterpoint that. So I interviewed him at North Carolina Comic Con. And one of the things I brought up to him was that very question that you said. Like, if I've never read, and it's like this vast universe like Marvel, where the hell do I jump in, right? Because I'm going to feel like I'm going to be lost. And what he schooled me to is, I would tell you to read, you can read any Bloodshot series from the newer Valiant when Dinesh rebooted them. Now, Dinesh isn't there anymore, but any newer series, the way they write, they don't do ongoings. They do these like short runs. And the way they write those runs is they bring you in and they work very hard to kind of catch you up on all that you need to know. So I read an Eternal Warrior story that was written by Matt Kint, and I became instantly not just an Eternal Warrior fan, but a Matt Kint fan, because he wrote in this like vivid manner that like gave you the backstory without like that kind of origin thing that we all hate, where it's like, I don't want to have to go through all of that to get to where I'm going. And I feel the exact same way about like Lemire's Bloodshot was the same way, where it was like, I didn't know about the nanites, which is what you see in the trailer where he cuts his hand and the nanites kind of like form him back together. And it's not that he went back and told the story of the nanites. It's just the first time you encountered them, he kind of briefly explained them like effortlessly. And I think that that's the beauty of Valiant, is you shouldn't feel intimidated. You can literally pick up any Volume 1 trade of any Valiant series from the more modern Valiant, and you're going to be able to jump right in and feel kind of engaged, and you're going to understand what's going on. And I think that that's something that Valiant's doing right that a lot of other publishers aren't doing. With Marvel, if you jump into, like, if you've never read Thor and suddenly you jump into War of Realms, you're going to be confused as hell. You're not going to know what's going on. If you've never read X-Men and you read House of X and Powers of X, that's going to make no sense to you. And I think that's one of the things that Valiant has as an advantage kind of going for them, that I don't think they do maybe a good enough job as a company marketing that's something that they do very well. But it is something they do very well. And their trades tend to be pretty cheap. And kind of like Drew said, like they're discount bin fodder quite often. So, you know,
find them all in the 50-cent bin, except for that rye number 0.
Relax.
Right.
All right, let's get into this. Just be careful.
Now, I
Blaspheming on the show.
talking bad about Valiant is not blaspheming. Talking bad about Marvel is blasphemy.
Come on.
Now, Bolo, question for you. Beyond the Valiant stuff, we've seen a lot of number ones kind of come out, set the world on fire, and then kind of disappear. Specifically, Image number ones. And lately, Boom has been doing a great job with series like Once and Future, where they've kind of built their own hype via different print releases. Is this something that you think is sustainable as far as like from a collecting standpoint? Are these things that are quickly popping and then losing their value, or is this something that seems to be a plan going forward for these? I wouldn't say smaller publishers, but I would say secondary publishers. The more you get your Valiants, your Dark Horse, your Boom, your IDWs, Action Labs, your Image at this point. Are these number ones and limited print runs on first printing, second printing, something that's going to continue to pop the industry?
Yeah, I think we're going to see late printings be kind of like looked at as the independent comics variants. See, the thing people got to realize about independent comics is they're working on a different budget, right? Marvel and DC have these budgets that allow them to put out 10 covers, 20 covers for a book. And an independent comic, a lot of people aren't aware of like the math and how creators, a lot of times they're making very little money off the printing of independent comics. Many independent comic creators work full-time jobs. It's creating comics isn't their full-time job. So like a guy like Frank Gogol is the guy I always use as an example. He wrote Dead End Kids, huge speculation success. The #1 went up to $20-30 for Source Point Press. But he works a full-time job. The guys who wrote Canto for IDW, same deal. They have a full-time job. So the companies don't invest in these variants when the first issue comes out. But then once they see the sales, then they'll come out with that second, third print variant, change up the cover art, and they're willing to make that move. Now you see a drop-off oftentimes from issue 1 to like issue 2, like you're talking about. That represents the speculation community. So what ends up happening is speculators, they're buying issue 1, but they're not staying on board for issue 2, 3, 4. Now I do think that will change some once some of these properties get optioned, because the property I use as an example is one of my favorite comics, Southern Bastards.
Love it.
So Southern Bastards. If you look at Southern Bastards, right, issue 1 can be sold for like $20. Issue 2 is essentially a cover price book. But the main character in Southern Bastards, the character you're going to really like love if this show becomes a show, is Coach Boss.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't appear till issue 2. So that's going to be the book everyone's going to want, is issue 2. People don't realize that because they're not reading the comics, right? The speculators, they're just jumping in on what they think is going to be hot, and then they're jumping out. So that contributes to it. Now, as far as Boom goes, Boom is kind of a separate issue, right? So Boom's gotten a lot of attention because of Once and Future, Something's Killing the Children. I think you're going to see the same thing on November 13th with Folklords. Pay attention to that one. But they're doing a different model. They have this program called the Boom Guarantee. And what that is that's a guarantee that they're making to retailers. They're telling retailers, order as many of the first prints as you want, and they are fully returnable. You have 30 days to pay for them. If you can't sell them in 30 days, send them back, and we'll cover the cost.
Oh, wow.
And they're doing that for the first 3 issues of all their new, like, big-time creator-owned series. So that's why you saw, like, Once and Future, so many of those, like, first prints still in stock, but second prints and third prints not available to be purchased. They were gone. What ends up happening is then, while these books are out there, right, Diamond doesn't have any copies. So retailers who didn't take advantage of the Boom Guarantee program, they're calling Diamond like, I need Once and Future. So Once and Future creates a second print, Boom creates a second print. But they're afraid to make these printings too big because they know that their first print is still returnable. So They could end up getting a large portion of that stock returned, and they could end up losing their ass. So they create these smaller print runs.
At the same time, the returnability also helps your sales a lot, because if you're an unknown quantity from a secondary publisher, an LCS doesn't have a lot of interest in taking a gamble on your book filling their shelves. If you make your product returnable, more people are willing to go out all in and make your book available, which then makes the ability for people to buy it easier. Therefore, sales are naturally higher. So, but at the same time, you're right, especially with these second, third prints. That's what drives those a lot. People are scared about getting these return books, so we're getting smaller runs.
Respectively speaking, regarding Marvel and the second prints, I mean, it's kind of bullshit, and it's hurting. It actually hurts your LCSs because they're putting out. Okay, so let's just say on Tuesday they have to get the order in for the second print of #1 of something Marvel put out. Before Marvel #1 has even been delivered on Tuesday, and even before it even hits the shelf, they're putting it out. So Marvel's essentially using the second print as a variant cover. And that's what they, I mean, when you go to the, my LCS, they're on the board of, oh shit, what the hell's that group? But anyway, they asked Marvel straight up, and Marvel's like, we don't care. I mean, Marvel is very disrespectful to the LCSs from the get-go, and it's kind of a shame. Yeah, and DC has been filtering that way. I mean, they were really upset I mean, the LCS has voiced their concern when they said, "Hey, we're going to put on exclusive at Walmart."
Yep.
Now
all hell broke loose.
All hell broke loose, and then DC ended up saying, "Okay, we're going to print these."
Well, they had to because Walmarts weren't selling the books.
Yeah, and the way that Walmart was doing it, a lot of them were walking off too. A lot of them were being because they're on the other side of the registers; they're being stolen. But the whole thing is with the Marvel second prints, it's crushing them because, like, my shop was telling me right now that, like, when you have I don't know, he told me that he has a low name bat run outselling Spider-Man right now. Like, there's a couple things that don't add up with the numbers that we see and the numbers that we're getting when it comes to the LCSs. You ask the LCSs what they're getting, and the LCSs have all gotten smart, and they're like saying, hey, the one LCS actually has a sign that says, if you're coming in to buy this book, you're going to pay cover price for it. Any additional price you're going to pay for it as the eBay price.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I like about Boom as well when they do that return part.
I'm going to tag
Mr. Bolo. One of my favorite things is that you can buy directly from Boom.
Yep.
You don't have to go through Diamond or anybody else. You buy directly from Boom. And I've done that many times with when Cullen Bunn put out Bone Parish 1. I was hoping to get the unedited cover. I was hoping I was going to get the unedited. If you know the original cover, it looks like a skull with a supposedly simulating cocaine. However, the unedited cover, the unairbrushed cover, the original plan for the cover that Colin showed me back in Kansas City, and he showed it to me, is true powder. It's actually what it's doing. It's amazing how it was. But then back to your point, Drew brought up, which was absolutely correct, and what Chad brought about the Marvel, there are books that are outselling at local LCSs variously. However, the online number is what everybody's looking at now. So whatever Midtown Comics and My Comic Shop and all those online shops, that is now 48% of all sales. And they are definitely weighted on speculators, because what it is, you don't put one, you don't put two. These are not people going into their shops, grabbing all 9 copies of House of X1 that are left on the shelf and walking out. That's not what's happening as much anymore, according to my LCS, because they put limits on it. Well, yes, and even now the online. How many times do you log into Midtown Comics months in advance to order your preview, and you're ready to go for the, what is it? Usually, what's the most they do? They allow 6 weeks, I think, right? Mm-hmm. On most, you click on a 6-week, it already says limit 1 per customer. So they already know 6 weeks that they are going to be shorted on this. And I'm talking variants. I'm talking regular book. I'm talking maybe the B cover, or what happened with Immortal Hulk was the Alex Ross covers, obviously. Alex Ross covers everybody wanted, especially the second printing, and now they like this part, limit 1 per customer. On the online, I never saw that before until more recently, and I see it more on Midtown Comics than I do, obviously, on My Comic Shop and the fellas down in Texas. But just shouting out to everybody on that one. That's exactly right. And Mr. Bo, I want your opinion between the online sales are mostly driven by, I think the speculators are focusing more on the online because you're more guaranteed to get the book, or at least if you don't get it, you didn't pay for it, versus buying a bunch of books at a shop. Because I have a lot of problems with one of my shops where a lot of the books are damaged. If I get them from the other place and they're damaged, you can return them. You walk out for the book when you get home, they're not going to take it as soon as you give it back.
Right. Well, to kind of like tie up everything that we're talking about, like what like Drew and I were talking about, that more involves indies. And then like what Chad was saying, Marvel and DC, they approach second and third late printings completely differently, because Marvel's putting, like he mentioned, is putting those solicits out before they've even sold the first printings. So they're selling them essentially as a variant cover. Then they're playing games like adding 1 in 25 incentives to the second prints, which is making retailers feel like they need to order 25 of a book that they probably don't to get that incentive variant, which is then leaving the regular books on the shelves, and then that becomes difficult. And like we talked about why the guarantees are important, is there's so many books for an LCS to try to figure out, how do I order all these books and have them on my shelf and serve my customers? It becomes difficult. And then when you bring speculators into play, you're absolutely right, JD. Like, speculators are looking at what they can see, and what they can see, no matter where you are in the country, is the online stuff. What a lot of people don't know too about Midtown is why they ended up going to the 1 per customer thing. They are using another retailer who I'm not going to mention, but they're using another retailer to aid in their kind of decision making they're sourcing another retailer who sells a lot of pre-FOC. So when they're getting those sales figures, they already kind of know what's hot with the speculators. So that's why you're seeing those 1%s going very early in the process, becoming more and more prevalent. Okay. And because they're trying to sell, it's smart business to sell to as many people as possible, but it's made speculators change the way they go things. But one thing Brian and I talk about on our channel all the time is the regionality of comic books. I think people take that largely for granted. I live in Rock Hill, South Carolina. I'm right outside Charlotte, North Carolina, but I live essentially in an area where there isn't a bunch of LCSs. There's a very small one in Rock Hill. The next town over from me is Fort Mill, which does not have any. And then I have to go to Charlotte, where there's a couple. There is no store in my driving distance that orders 100 copies of a book on release day. So it is almost impossible for me to essentially load up on a book on release day. My only avenue for doing that would be online. And you get a lot of people who, if you're from, say, Baltimore, well, there's comic shops, there's places that order large. If you're from New York City, you can hit multiple shops. There's shops that order heavy. And I think people take for granted the difference in perspective depending on where you are in the country. So you may go to your shop and you may see House of X, Powers of X to the nines. But for me, it's difficult. And then when shops start limiting one per person, which I do not blame shops for doing that, because they're trying to serve the most amount of customers as possible.
I'm all good with that,
Yeah, it makes it, and I'm all good with whatever you do as long as you're upfront and you communicate that to your customer base. And again, you're doing it for the right reasons. The one thing I don't like is gouging on price on release date.
That's where I was going to go next.
You
brought that up once before, Simpleman, on your show, where we were talking. I think you and I were probably, through the chat. There was a book that came out. It was very weird. It was a Return of Wolverine that had a Star Wars in wrap by accidentally in there, and they called it an error book. The crazy thing about that is I went into my local shop not knowing this was going on, and as I'm there, I got a text. So I picked up 4 more copies, and for the cover price. As soon as I walked out of the store, I sent my friend Lewis in. By the time we went to Chipotle, which was Qdoba, which was around the corner, we put them on eBay just to see at $25 a piece, see what would happen. They sold by the time I got my extra guac. I'm flat out kidding right there. The time I got the guac handed to me, those books were sold. So thank you for the lunch and everything else. Went back to the LCS to see if we wanted to get the rest of them, because they said you could take as many as you want. We have too many. And pull lists didn't pull that much of that. No, it was number 2, I think. They were already up to $15. And now this is, by the way, 10:30 on release day, or 11:30 Central Time. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, and so I do have a little bit of. There are 3 comic shops.
Were they cover price when the store opened, though?
They were cover stock in the store, which
early
I
bird gets the worm.
Yep, and that was us. And I asked the people, I asked them behind the counter. I said, "Did you see?" And they're like, "Yep." And like, "Thank you for informing us." And they do that all the time, because I said, "Keep an eye on this one." But I didn't expect them to jack it up for the other people, and I don't think they actually meant to. But they're also very smart and very fair. We have one that Matty Thanatos and I have been to, and he came in and out of town. He used to come here a lot to visit his kids. And Chad has been to this place too. I think it's phenomenal, and I know Paul has. God bless Moira. We were literally in that shop. It's called Legends Comics and Coffee. No pun intended. It's called Legends Comics and Coffee. So you have a combination of Bueller and the Great Legend. So it's to me, it's how YouTube started. So that's really good. Oh, my phone.
Oh, see you, JD, I guess. But yeah, my ultimate example was going to be the Last Walking Dead issue. That thing went up in price before the shops even opened.
I so badly just wanted to say something to him.
Yeah, I talked about that one.
What'd you want to say?
I was going to jump in and say something. I was going to be like, "Hey, JD, you know this?" And then when he said something, I was going to go, "It doesn't matter." So badly.
Jabroni.
I was gonna. I love JD. JD is doing an amazing job. If he can't jump back on, he's doing an amazing job for Paul. He's heading up this auction. So thank you to JD.
I'm going to tag somebody special in, and I'm going to leave.
I talked about.
Why did you leave?
Respect my
I talked
choice.
about that Walking Dead one on our channel.
Yeah.
I had a similar experience where the day before that book came out on my birthday. The day before that book came out, my father passed away. I'm not like an everyday Walking Dead reader, but a buddy of mine, well-known speculator in the community, Topher, he had reached out to me and been like, dude, you need to read Walking Dead this week. He was like, it's a good father-son story. You know, he was like, you need to read it. So I go into my LCS the moment they open, or the LCS that was my LCS at the time. They're now closed, and I'm telling you, it's not a coincidence. You do this kind of stuff, you will close.
Yep.
I go in there the moment they open, and I'm confused because I don't see Walking Dead anywhere on the shelf. So I walk up to the kid behind the counter, and I'm like, you guys got Walking Dead 193, and he goes, well, not for the wall, but we do have it on our eBay for $15.
Oh.
And
Man.
I was like, I didn't want to get into an argument because I knew they had already made their decision, but I was like, yeah, it's kind of messed up, man. It's release date. And he was like, well, I kind of chuckled about it and was like, it is what it is. So I went on the channel for the Bolo show the next day and I vented my frustration with that situation. People either loved it or hated it, right? They either agreed with me or they felt like I was being kind of entitled. But the thing about it is I people don't realize this, but I have a retail background. Like that's where I went to college for. And like when you're in a retail business, there's a reason why like Walmart doesn't do that, right? There's a reason why I don't care if it's even the smallest retail chain or any. There's a reason why businesses don't do that. They don't mark something up because it's popular, because that's playing the short game. So while you may make a couple extra dollars today, you've now alienated a customer, and customer acquisition is the most valuable thing you can do in retail and in business. And so they lost a customer in me that day because I knew that anything that was popular, I was not going to be able to get if I didn't have it on a pull list. And that's not going to be good business for a shop. A month later, they're closed. They don't exist. And they're putting stuff on Facebook saying, we couldn't build the customer base. Well, that's why you couldn't build the customer base. You couldn't build the customer base in a shop that existed in that town for like 30 years. So the customer base was there. They couldn't keep it. And I hate that. And that's why I always try to say the comic shop should be the first market. They should not try to be the second market. They should not worry about eBay unless they're selling back issues. When it comes to new comic book releases, you should be very happy if you're able to take all your new releases and sell them out. If you want to limit it one per person so you can serve the most customers possible, I'm all about that. But if you're going to mark the books up, you're going to alienate people, and that's going to cost you more money in the long run than anything else.
Yeah, well said for sure.
Carson?
Yeah.
It's 11:37.
All right. Well, we know what that means. It's pretty late, so we're going to wrap this thing up. So we'll just go down the horn here and see what everyone. So we'll start with our guest, Simple Man. What all you got going on? What do you want to plug on your channel? What you got going on?
It's like our take on the hot ones. You just like look at the camera and say something, and nobody pays attention to anything we say.
So we kind of mentioned this week on our show our big hot cold video. We're making that monthly, and in place of it, we're putting 2 new weekly pieces of content, Jack and I, where we're going to have 3 up, 3 down, which is the compressed 3 hot picks, 3 cold picks. Shortened it. That video has been running like an hour of that hot and cold, so it's going to be a 15-minute digestible piece of content. Great picks. And also on top of that, we have the Bolo show. That's another long-form show. But we're going to bring you the back issue Bolo, another short digestible video.
Nice.
5 picks or so. Sometimes it's going to be themed. Sometimes it's just going to be like, hey, here's 5 back issues. And then I'm going to let Jack talk about it a little bit more. But these are some content. And there's one other piece of content that we have coming up, another small form. And I'll leave that for Jack to discuss. But yeah, we're trying to change things up a little bit on Superman's Comics. More content. We listen to people's comments on the videos that we put out there. Love all the support we're getting. So thank you. And again, super honored, feel super privileged for you guys to allow us on your show.
Oh,
and love meeting all y'all at Baltimore.
I'll give you a piece of advice. Just find a bunch of people that'll do stuff on your channel, and then you don't have to do anything. It's pretty awesome.
Smart. We've had that idea, but it's not working out for us as much as it is for you.
Yeah, it didn't work out when we tried it.
Thank you so much, man. It's an honor to have you guys. Mr. Bolo, what do you got rocking and rolling?
Yeah, so like Brian said, this week we're excited to kick off new content. We got, like you said, the back issue Bolo, and then we're also got some other stuff planned. Man, we've got a new piece of content called Set the Table, where we're gonna another like 5 to 10 minute piece of content where we're gonna cover comic sets. We're gonna talk about whether it's connecting covers, whether it's kind of series like House of X, Powers of X. Where we're going to talk about the value of putting sets together, not just from a collecting standpoint, but also from a resale standpoint, because there's a lot of sets you can actually get more money on the back end by having the entire set together. And then we're also going to be working on another piece of content called Better Late Than Never that ties into our discussion we had tonight talking about late printings. So second prints, third prints, fourth prints, all of those late printings, and kind of their value in the market, as well as some of the more obscure and older ones that people I don't think are even aware of existing.
That's awesome, man. Guys, again, I can't say it enough, but thank you. Kat, you want to say parting words to them?
Yeah, big thank you to, of course, everyone from Simpleman's family, and AKA Mr. Bolo. We all know I love you guys. I've been a huge fan of your content, Brian. I used to watch you when I was parked outside of my LCS every Wednesday morning to remind myself of like certain things that were like coming up, because I had like my little sheet of what I was going to get or whatever, but like just to remind me if there was something that wasn't on my polls, like maybe I should look out for this. And you definitely opened my eyes to a few different books that I may or may not have checked out before, or like certain artists that I didn't know of before. And big thank you to that. I know you don't really do that content anymore, but seriously enjoying the stuff you guys are putting out right now. I know I don't always watch you guys live, but I know you see like the millions of like little comments that I put through that thread. It's always one at the very bottom, like sorry about all the comments.
Yeah, well, I guess weekly picks. What would you guys say to that? Gone too soon?
Gone
too soon. Hey, speaking of gone too soon, shout out to the Great Legends Show hanging out in the chat, throwing up a hashtag Amen. I believe that was in response to hashtag Tasha get fiber. So Tasha get that fiber.
She really needs to get that fiber.
But before we end the video and everything, I know in the chat the Slab Dragon was complaining that Mark stopped eating, but he opened up this container during the stream. Do you want to know how many Oreos are left in it?
0.
2.5 sleeve.
Oh my God.
There's nothing in this.
Mission complete.
One Oreo.
Respect my authority.
Mission complete.
Apparently, the mystery flavor was a good flavor.
Apparently.
I got a little bit. If you guys got another half minute.
Oh
yeah.
Please, you're
30
next
seconds on
up
the
in the
clock.
lineup, Andy. What's going on, man?
So I am one sub
Whoa.
away from 200, and I'm hoping to do another giveaway for the community here. Maybe something at like 250 when I get something together.
Sub him up now, boys and girls.
Do it.
I'd really appreciate it.
It's funny that you're saying that, dude. This is something the legend will tell you. Ready? This is synchronicity. We are literally one sub away from 800.
Why?
Oh, nice.
So I want to pop my cherry with you. I want you to look me in the eyes when you do it, though.
Come on, Jason.
It'll be way
Smith.
better
You got
than your
one
first
sub in you
time
for
getting
Andy.
cherry popped when nobody.
Spit in my
looks
mouth,
at it.
Andy.
Oh my God. It's off the rails, baby.
Hey, I want to say thank you to Brian and Jack for allowing me an opportunity to share my thoughts and my comic book ideas on their channel. I really appreciate that. I really want to give a huge shout out to the Comic Corp for allowing me an opportunity to be a part and play a role on either Modern Men.
Yeah, Modern Men.
Modern Men with Seawood, and Seawood, I owe you an A-OK, man. That Matrix book was amazing. But more importantly, Paul and his family tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
Just a small announcement. You're at 200, bro.
Oh, come on. Come
See if
on.
we got a celebration
Give it up.
gimmick here.
Up. Comic
Yeah.
Man Andy is just
Awesome
like I'm
bottles.
for Wu-Tang. He's for the
That's
joke.
the best I got. No, there we go.
Smack me.
Well, actually,
Whoa.
Vader. There we go. We'll give you a Vader.
Yeah, Dancing Vader.
Oh,
the
do some
JD,
cocaine.
got a little bit of JD action.
That's how you party.
JD.
So I mean, Pinky's out to an amazing community on the internet. Comic Core, Brian, Jack, everybody out there. This community is so huge it would take us 2 hours to go over everybody. Next week, Tony Sanders actually invited me to be a part of one of his shows next week. I'm really looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
This community is amazing. Super amazing community. Thank you guys.
So
Tell
Tony,
McFans he owes DMC another title shot. That's all we know.
Dude.
here, the eyebrow. There, got my eyebrow.
I had to remove him because I gotta bring. I've had him in timeout. He's biting at the bit. I gotta bring him on so he can talk about the auction, and then we'll say goodnight. So hold on. Let me. Is he okay? Are you okay? Okay. You gonna behave?
You're gonna behave?
Jesus.
Probably not.
Don't bite me.
I'm only out of the box
Wish
for this
lady.
week, guys.
My
Where's
toddler
Carson?
bites me. I don't want to.
Where's Carson? Where's Carson?
Right. Anyway,
Hey, everybody.
JD, tell us about the auction tomorrow.
Josh should get fiber.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do we got going on? We had tomorrow night.
Damn.
That's it. Damn. We have right now going on tomorrow night, 8 p.m. on our channel. We are doing for that little firecracker right there, that little isn't she lovely right there, little Stevie Wonder for everybody with that smile and the heart of gold that she has now and that special heart that we want to make sure is oh so nice and oh so taken care of. So we're going to make sure that her medical bills are paid for so that little girl can be around. We could see her at a few cons. What do you think? She'll be sitting there dressing up. So let's just do this right now. We've got an auction tomorrow night on the Comic Corn channel at 8 p.m. hosted by hosted by the great legend tomorrow night coming out of retirement for the big auction here. We're going to have 100% of the proceeds on our show during there. We might there might be some people bringing in some big books and stuff like that that might do a portion. We don't really know yet. There's a lot of people donating a large portion of stuff. But 8 p.m. I'm going to start this. What we say, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We will be starting this one. It will go a minimum of 3 hours, we expect. I'm pretty sure we can get through that pretty quickly. And then on Sunday night, we're starting 1 hour earlier, and we're going to try to do that one as much as we can to get as much of it there. Our goal for the weekend is to break their goal by the end of there. And then we're going to tell them, move that barrier up, because then we're going to do some severe. Let's get that picture up there. We'll be doing the Dragon Heart boxes, which are going to be mystery boxes done by the Comic Corp. They're going to be organized by TJ, the Slab Dragon Watson, and myself and my wife. We're going to put them in these beautiful boxes. You will get the official Dragon Heart boxes from Moira logo, stickers on there, as well as a little thank you note from the Comic Corp. And of course, we love you all for being there. And thank you for being a friend, because Paul, of course, is our Sophia on the Golden Guys. There you go. We're looking forward to that.
Gone too soon.
Guys, we love you. We thank you. Sub everybody up. This is the best community around. Keep it going, guys. And Drew Manchu, baby.
I just have one question real
Yes.
quick. He said that they're going to get through a 3 hour auction pretty quickly. Wouldn't it still be 3 hours?
have you met JD?
I know. I just thought it was funny.
This is the guy. Wait. This is, I got to tell you.
12 parsecs, okay? We'll do it in less than 12 parsecs.
This is the man that, okay, so the guy that won the he won the Ringo for Spencer and Locke.
No, he won it for a Baron.
Yeah, well, he's covering alcoholic, and JD offered him a shot.
Jesus.
That's how we play.
There's nothing against the law about offering. I didn't know he was a
testing
friend.
his
All right.
resilience.
And guys,
Let's be honest, he's not a friend of Bill W.
See you tomorrow night.